You've heard that video is an important part of your marketing. You can create a video, but without a plan, there's little chance for success. So on today's podcast, we'll discuss video marketing strategies for your business.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Our unique team helps small businesses grow by providing essential marketing expertise.
Hello and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. I am Bill Palmentier of W. Palmentier Photography.
I'm Justin of Justin Kerr Design.
I'm Alicia with the Spark Social.
And together we make up
the Marketing Essentials team.
So today we have a guest.
Yes, today we have John Antonacci. You know what? I'm going to ask you to give a correct pronunciation because I'm going to say it the way I think it should be said, but that may be wrong.
No. Say it the way you think it's going to be said.
Yeah, we just want to hear this.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Antonacci.
That's right. That's exactly how you say it.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like a ch or a hard C.
Clearly, it's a little bit Italian, and the two C's together in an Italian word is a ch.
Okay.
The CH is the k sound. So just so you know.
So now
like
you learn.
Chianti.
Correct.
Ooh,
but in English, if I were, it would be COO. Just to really, not COO. It wouldn't be that at all. It'd be COR in English. Correct. You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
No, I don't. Okay. Sorry. But you got it right. Antonacci. Well done. I've got an anti-gnocchi, which is my favorite.
Trust me, I feel for you. Long last names make people crazy,
All right.
So people still can't get my last name.
So now that we have the correct pronunciation, I'd like to introduce on today's podcast, John Antonacci. John just loves connecting people with solutions. He's been doing it for 25 years, whether it was selling ads for television, for print, or as the CMO of one of the largest precious metal companies in the world, Gannon Scott. He's constantly helping people and companies clarify their message and optimize their marketing materials. He loves music, fire pits, and exercise, even though his back screams at him to stop. His latest hobby is giving his kids money. So,
that's a hobby?
Yeah.
Listen, I understand that.
That's a hobby I hope I never get into.
But
You can't get out.
I know.
Thanks for joining us down the podcast.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
So why don't you give us just a quick little background of, we know what you're doing now.
Yeah.
You're working as a chief marketing officer for...
Technically, I'm the director of marketing and strategic accounts. CMO was the other precious metals company that I was with.
Okay.
So I was going to correct you mid-sentence, but, I thought that'd be rude. So I just let it go because I like the way it sounds, CMO.
Well, it rolls off the tongue a little bit easier than the other title that you mentioned.
Like 10 years ago, the word CMO, nobody knew what it was, right? I mean, this is a new title, but... Director, it doesn't make a difference, whatever it is.
Director of marketing.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So, as far as my background, you kind of nailed it. I've have a long history in there in sales and marketing, and a lot of it is jewelry related, oddly enough. And I also got into, because of that jewelry relation, I was selling ads in a trade journal for the jewelry magazine way back when. So you can imagine how long ago it was, trade journals. Ended up getting into video from a standpoint of sales at a local TV station here at WPRI, selling ads for them. And it's really about relationships, who I knew. And every job I pretty much had has been, this guy brought me in, from another position. Except the latest stint with Anima Studios, I was at another precious metals company, and we had videos produced by a friend of mine who owns Anima Studios, and he's done such a great job with it. I was like, this is phenomenal, like what you built here. And then next thing I know, I'm working with him, and then I just got brought back in, Godfather 3 style into the jewelry industry.
Did you know for you can't refuse?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, no horse heads or anything in the bed.
That's good.
No gold bars either, but that would have been nice.
Well, Providence is the capital of jewelry, or it has
used to be.
Okay, used to be.
Used to be.
Yeah, because I think most our listeners are Rhode Island or locally based, but for those who don't know, it's
still pretty strong.
Yeah.
It's funny because you can talk to a lot of Rhode Islanders here, and I bet most of them either worked in the jewelry industry somehow or definitely had a family member.
My great grandmother worked in the
there you go.
In Pawtucket, the old Monet. I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
For years.
The Pawtucket building that's now U-Haul. Right?
Yeah.
So that's how the Rhode Island speak.
That was
right?
for
the Dunkin' Donuts.
The building we're recording this podcast in right now, it was a jewelry factory.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so the old rubber molds on the wall and stuff. That's pretty cool.
We got to make sure we bring them over. We haven't seen them already. The silver spoons they have over in the.
I did. I saw those.
Saw them.
Yeah.
We did a little bit of a tour. So
yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, we can melt those down in case anybody wants that.
Yeah. So now you are in the precious metals and melting of.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, just to give you a quick little history of the precious metals and all that fun stuff. Whenever you're manufacturing using precious metals, obviously they cost a lot of money, and there's a little bit of waste that goes on. Like in this jewelry factory, I'm sure in the floors they were ripped up and burnt so that they could reclaim the precious metals out. And that's what we do. We just if there's a precious metal in there, we get it back out.
Reclaim it. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool process. Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
No, I would imagine that would be a kind of an expensive process.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not inexpensive to get into. There are ways to get into it in terms of, if you're a small company, you would bring that material to us. You basically, like, say, Bill, you had like a whole bunch of that ring you took off, right? Say it was gold, because you have a nice ring that makes a lot of noise. You send it to a pawn shop. They would basically pay you for that value, collect it, and then send it to us to be
Oh, wow.
one particular portion of the business.
Oh, cool.
Very interesting. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Video marketing strategies. I know there's no segue.
There was a rough transition.
There kind of is. And I'll tell you why. Because in that industry in particular, you can imagine trust is a big aspect of it. You're sending off material and you're like, well, I hope I get all the value in this. So whoever you are, you got to be pretty reputable. And a good way to show that is to basically bring people to your facility and say, look, we obviously know what we're doing. And a lot of these customers can be all over the country, if not the world. So how do you bring them to the facility?
I'm guessing video.
That's it, Bill. You're a smart man.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Well, I think that's a great point, because it just speaks to, we look at video as just a way to push our message, but you're using it as a relationship building tool for a very, very niche industry and very niche business. So
yeah, a lot of the different types of videos that you can make are helpful to the customer. So if it's starting off that relationship, there are little tricks of the trade, like a soapbox. I don't know if you guys are familiar with soapbox from Wistia.
I'm very familiar with it. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
It is. Yeah.
I just got the sales guys using that now, where they can form that relationship with a customer. Say they can't get in touch with a prospect and they try and knock on the door and trying to build that value. Good differentiator for them is to actually record themselves, share the information, and put it in an email. The chances are pretty good. Click-through rates on emails and so forth. If the word video was in the subject line,
it's going to pick it up.
They go up like 18, 19%.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
Put a video in your email. Use Soapbox. It can be free.
Yeah.
Soapbox can be free. So if your listeners want to jump on in, check it out.
Yeah, it's a pretty low threshold to start off. It's when you start getting bigger that
And don't worry about the free thing. We got an IT guy who's like, oh, it's free. It
can't be any good. Yeah.
Well, they're stealing all our information, which I get, but their particular platform, it's like, we want to sell you more. So they hook you.
Sure.
Yeah. So we'll list Soapbox in the notes. It's a tool that you can use.
From Wistia.
Yes.
From Wistia. Okay.
Yeah, the main company is Wistia. They came out with this product called Soapbox.
Yeah. There are other ones out there. Vidyard has it. But I think for me personally, I like Soapbox a little bit easier to use.
And so that's building a relationship too. So you have your marketing, that's building a relationship, but then you have your sales team and they're building a relationship with video, is what you're saying. Yeah,
it has to be, they have to synchronize. There has to be a synergy between sales and marketing. I can't tell you, being in this industry for so long, and I'm sure you're aware of it, there's always the sales side and the marketing side. They always seem to fight. And the strong companies, that's a team. Like the strong companies realize you can't have one without the other.
Yes. So marketing and sales, I think a lot of businesses in their old type of older mindset maybe didn't really see, marketing was to push out emails and the salespeople were supposed to talk to the prospects, but there should be this cohesive message between the two. That could be a whole other podcast on its own. So I'm not going to go down that road, but video is a great way. So, I'm just envisioning somebody coming to your website.
Right.
And they're interested. So
don't do it now. We're working on changing it. But
don't go to that website now, but when it's ready.
I got a year to get all this stuff in play. So to jump totally all over you and answer your question before you even asked it, because that's unfortunately one of the problems I have in life. For us, it's coming up with that plan.
Yeah.
And it's, what is the website right now? What's the traffic? And understanding where do we want this to go? You just strip it all down to the basics of what do we want to see the lift in? when it comes down to, is it just a brand lift overall? What am I looking at the website? Where are people going at this point? What do I want to change? And video is going to be integral to that because it's going to get them to that website.
Oh, okay. So video is not just going to be, I don't know if you plan to put video on the site, but you plan to use video as like your top of funnel, like content out there.
Correct.
Okay.
One of many ways. You know, a lot of people, this video is not the be all end all. You know, it's that you have to have a plan that involves everything.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just go in there and say, all right, I made this video and hope people come. It's got to be part of a complete strategy. And that comes down to everything when it comes down to digital advertising campaigns, which I understand somebody in this room does. So putting that together along with the messaging and making sure it's all clear so that you advertise a certain aspect of a video to bring them to another location where more of that video is played. And from a video standpoint, that, you know, it's called Hero Hub Hygiene, or some people like the word help, Hero Hub Hygiene or help. And then finally action or go, where you want them to do something. And each one of those, that's what you have to understand. It's like, what do I want this video to do? And what part of the sales funnel am I attacking?
You used my favorite word, funnel.
Yeah, I hate the word too. I like cycle better.
Yeah.
And I say funnel just because I'm 25 years into this. You just always use funnel, right? Do you hate the word funnel? Or?
Well, I love it, but I do agree that there's a new version of the funnel. But I love it for the sense that I don't think most businesses go out there and think of a strategy that puts their customers through this process. And so I don't use the cycle, like HubSpot is big about like the continuous cycle, like bringing people back around. Right. And then in the center, it's your core of engagement and loyalty. But I just think that most people don't approach their strategies with a mindset of using anything, whether they're doing video or static, you know, ads. They don't have like layers to bring people into the relationship with their business. And
it can't be generic either. Like, so for where I'm at now, Gannon Scott, the different types of customers all speak different languages. They essentially all need their precious metals to reclaim, but they all speak differently. What this company may call thermal reduction, a jewelry manufacturer may call it sweeps. So it's the same process. It's just their language. So you have to cater every single one of your ads towards their language. You don't want them to be thinking in a foreign language. You want to speak their language. So
sure, that makes sense.
So would you create different videos?
Yeah, but the idea,
each segment?
Yeah. So, but you have to do it smart, right? You have to pay attention to your budget. You don't want to go nuts. So you basically rely on the script writing and maybe the sound, you know, the music and so forth, because some of the semiconductor industry maybe have a different tone to it than a jewelry manufacturer might. And this isn't to downplay the jewelry, but they're getting more sophisticated, but they really aren't. They are like set in their ways, how they look for things. Some of them actually still read magazines. So you got to understand that your customer.
No, I have some clients that are in a B2B niche industry and their whole, you know, it's a lumber and logistics, and they run off of trade magazines and events. And digital is like a scary word.
Right. But they got to do it. You know, and a lot of the folks don't realize that they'd be the only ones doing it. So do it now, you know, but marketing, you know how it goes. It's like, oh yeah, they look at it as an expense, and we all know it's not the case. We all know it's an investment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, and it's teaching them that. But to get back to the types of video to make, when I said Hero Hub Hygiene, just explain that a little bit. To make it real simple, Hero is that footage or that little video spot that grabs their attention. So they immediately like, oh, who is this? You know, what are you guys talking about? And that, if it does its job, will get them into what's called a hub, where it's a continuation of that story. And then from there, you have the hygiene videos. And that's what everybody jumps to first, is the hygiene videos, which the hygiene videos is to help people out. That's what people are searching for. The answer is like, hey, how do I get this precious metal out of my flooring? That comes later in the sales cycle. You can't just throw that at somebody right off the bat. That has to be nurtured.
Sure, I agree.
And it's good to have, because if somebody's at that stage already and say, all right, I have these floorboards, how can I get this gold out? Then they can watch that video. But it's helpful if they've never even heard of you, never even thought about doing this.
But like you said, there are when you're dealing with clients that are so immersed in their industry, they're thinking about how they can provide the solution before they've actually got into attracting the client. I had I'm working on a video for a contractor, and he wanted to talk about all the things that he does as a contractor. I'm like, no, you got to start back with the story. Start talking about, you know, the experience that people are having with you before they even get to that point.
Right. Because what you do. So somebody else is doing the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You know, there's nothing that hasn't been done.
There are thousands of contractors in Rhode Island alone.
Yeah.
You know,
you could say I have the best materials, the best, I don't know, whatever, but somebody else is going to say the same thing.
Sure,
so start with the differentiator, start with that.
Yeah. I usually, you know, you hit it there when people say like, oh, we want to be different, and you're saying it right. I mean, you can't be different. We're not really different from the other precious metals refiners out there. We can be distinct.
Yeah. Exactly. I like that.
And that's really what we strive for, you know, is to basically take like our services and our customer base and understand this customer and speak to them. Like, we're all Donald Miller fans here, you know, a Story Brand. That's if you haven't,
he's been mentioned like 100 times on this podcast. He should sponsor us.
No kidding. We got to call him up for a sponsor.
He's fantastic. And he's dumbed it down for all of us, you know, especially me. I needed it. But with that aspect of talking to the customer and what's in it for me, it's so incredible how now you can look at a website and just be like, oh my boy, does this need to be changed?
It's hard. Yeah. Because I think we're so inside the jar that Justin loves that saying, like you tend to put your content out there thinking like, this is what people are going to want to know. This is what they should know about me, instead of actually on the flip side. And it's tough. So that's why you work with professionals in video. Right. So I think a lot of companies right now are on this video craze, and they're just like, all my clients, I need video. They don't stop to think about a strategy behind it.
And that's the key. You have to start first. Like, what do you want this video to do? That's where what do we want them to do? What's the goal of this video? And then you work backwards from there, and you have like Animus does a great job. They call it Find Your Fascinating, where they'll come in and they'll do creative bash with you from a video standpoint, but it can be carried over into any other of your marketing. You know, like Justin is a branding guy, you know, something like this would fall right into play with what Justin does, to figure out like, what does the customer's voice sound like? Who are your customers? Understand that buying persona and the process itself. What are they going through? Right.
Yeah, I saw a really good infographic on, you know, starting with the basics and then how you and I'll share that in the podcast notes, because I think, like you said, so many people want to start with the hygiene. They just skip all of the homework. It's like showing up to the game without practice. And I'm not a sports person, but that would be like, that's as far as I get on analogies with sports.
Or it's like trying to lift, like, you know, do your personal record for bench press without stretching or anything like that. You're going to blow out a pec. You know? Not speaking from personal experience or anything like that.
So you
go from there.
I did blow out a shoulder though, because I'm an idiot. Go ahead.
Well, speaking of heroes,
ooh, nice segue. I like that. That was impressive.
When you talk to clients about, you know, the hero, the hub, and the hygiene, and you talk about the hero aspect of it, how do you explain that to them?
I have to kind of show examples, and really, it's basically like anything that you've seen that got your attention. You know, it could be that 30-second ad, that could be the 6-second ad. It could be, it could be anything that got somebody to turn their head and say, who are they? That's kind of hero content. To put it in terms of like showing them examples, a really good one of my favorite ones was, and I use it in my talk that you were at, Justin, is the NFL. It wasn't this past year, but the year before, did a great campaign with Verizon where they talked about the first responders, and they had the videos of different NFL players who wouldn't be around if it weren't for those first responders. And the ad they had on TV was the hero content. Quite literally, it was the hero content talking about these heroes. So they hit every nail. You know, they were like, boom, hero all over the place. And that got somebody's attention. And at the very end of it, it told you to go to Verizon's website. So that was the call to action. They knew what they wanted that video to do. And because you want to see the rest of the story. You know, if you're really into football, you're watching it, you know your audience, and you've got this kid who's a quarterback. I think it was Mitch Trubisky, if you follow it at all. I think it was him. He has a scar on the side of his head. You're like, how did that happen? And they just touch on it. So that's the hero content. They were like, ooh, I want to learn more.
Just to come back.
And then they bring you to the hub where there's more of that story. And the hub technically was their website. And now they got me. Now I'm on their website. Now I'm going to look for the hygiene videos. Like, whoa, it's Verizon. Okay, that was cool of them to do this. What else do they have? And you start looking at other videos like how to save money on your phone bill, like that kind of thing. And exactly. So that's probably the easiest way to explain it. But people sometimes cheapen out. And like, oh, that sounds like a lot of content. Okay, it does, but that's the NFL. You can still do it smart with a budget and repurpose footage that you may have taken before, you know, and just keep going back and forth to that. And if you work with a company like an Animus Studios or Bill, you know, basically they can figure that out for you. And you need to spend that time up front.
Yeah. You made a great point that it's the NFL and it's Verizon, and I think a lot of companies see that as like, well, I can't market like them, but you can.
You can
With social media and video now.
Yep.
You don't need to buy a halftime Super Bowl ad. You can just target your people digitally.
Exactly.
But it starts with the content.
Yeah, if it's not good content, if it's not a good story, who's going to watch? It's not going to be interesting to them. Make sure it's interesting to them. If it's not, if it's all about you, brag, brag, brag. One of my favorite sayings I went to a Storynomics. That's another good book. Storynomics, Tom Gerace, Robert McKenna. But Robert McKenna is like, hey, they're up there, they're brag, 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 talking about themselves. And I'm like, boy, that is great, because that's exactly what happens. And when you're with anybody that talks about themselves, I don't want to name names, but my wife has a friend that she doesn't hang out with anymore because all she does is talk about herself, and she goes out and she's like, it just wasn't fun, because everybody's favorite topic is themselves, so you kind of want to talk about yourself a little bit. And if that never happens, well, you're going to move on. So if you don't feel that empathy towards whoever it is on the screen, if you don't feel like them, if they're not talking to you, they're not going to listen.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. That's a great example. I mean, we think about as a business that we should just talk about ourselves, but it really is a conversation.
There is a point in time when you need to talk about yourself. But when think about it, you get introduced to somebody the very first time, that's a video, right? So that's hero content. So first you're being introduced to someone. If you're just talking about them yourselves, they're like, oh yeah, moving on.
Yeah, can you imagine yourself at a networking meeting? Hi, Alicia, I'm Bill,
exactly.
and blah blah blah. Here's what I do.
Yeah. But you remember the guy who says, "Hi, Alicia, I'm Bill. Tell me about yourself."
Exactly, exactly. That's networking 101. But it means the same thing in video. If you can't bring them in by a common denominator, and then you just want to start telling about who you are, they're going to walk away. They're going to. It's simple as that.
John, when I went to your presentation, I remember you talking about the Verizon ad. There was another one that came up, JoveCore. And can you spend a minute talking about that?
Yeah, that was a campaign that Animus we had done. They reached out to us, and this is the great, if I can just plug a podcast for you guys, what a great lead generator a podcast is. I was a guest on a podcast called A Sales Evangelist, who's great if you're into sales.
Good name.
Donald Kelly, he's probably up to like 1,500 episodes now.
Wow.
Down in Miami, Florida. Great guy. And so I was on his podcast talking about it, and JoveCore heard me on it. So he instantly, he calls me up. He's like, I've heard you from Rhode Island. Oh my God, we're up in Massachusetts. So boom, the sales cycle shortened just like that,
Wow.
And so they asked us to go in. We did a Find Your Fascinating, a little mini one. We understood a little bit more about what they were trying to do. And essentially what they are, just give you a little context, is JoveCore is a tech company, and they make subscription-based learning software for students, and it's video-based. So if you are a biological student, not a biological, everybody is, right? Biological. But if you're like,
give or take.
I hope, right? In this day and age, who knows? But so you're a cyber kid coming in. But if you were taking like a biology class, they would have this subscription that they're trying to sell to these colleges where they can learn with video, and video is just flat out awesome. You can basically learn so much quicker because you got every aspect of it. Visual learning. You also have the type, sound. There's just a lot of different ways that it can be delivered much better than a textbook and having a student just sit there and read.
Yeah.
So with that, they came to us. We did the Find Your Fascinating. We found out for them that they were like if you're getting back to football talk, they were like the Oakland Raiders in the industry. They were kind of like the Rebels, right? And so they had a nice edge to them that we really liked, and they had a good, funny personality. So we ended up pitching them a bunch of different ideas, and we landed on this one personified textbook of a crotchety old man, because that's kind of what a textbook is, it's an old technology.
Yeah.
And so we want to introduce something new. They're new technology. So we just did a spot down. Just did a spot down in Newport. I hit the mic.
Talk with your hands like a real Italian.
I'm Italian. I'm sorry. I can't, no matter how hard you try, it just keeps going.
I do the same thing with you.
So we did the shot in Newport, came up with this pretty fun little concept for them, and they used it from a Hero Hub Hygiene. They advertised like a snippet of it through their email. They did it through their own. So you're saying, do it cheap? You got an email base. Send it to your email.
Sure.
So they sent it to their owned media. And then other people spread it out. So that's called earned media, right? So they're spreading it out and so forth.
So people shared it.
People shared it.
That's how you know it's powerful content.
Exactly.
People share. That is like the best.
And as far as like their campaigns they had, I shared the notes with Justin. It was one of their highest campaigns that they had done it's the highest for their unengaged folks. So people that never really clicked on them, they saw a huge improvement in terms of click-through rates and open rates, and engaged. I share the numbers with Justin. We were at
it was 40% open rate and 30% click-through rate.
Wow,
and these are people that had previously ignored other emails.
Pretty much. Yeah. So for them, that's a win. Now it's up to them. They have to sell the product, but now they got people involved. They're seeing it. They understand the culture right away of what this company's about. They understand the product. So the goal for them too, let's shorten that sales cycle. And that's what video can help with, is you're getting people quickly through that buyer cycle,
So if we were going to kind of summate everything that we've been talking about here for the last 20 minutes or so, in regards to video marketing, I mean, we know it's important, but you need to have a plan. We talked about the process of, the hero, the hub, the hygiene. Also about knowing where in the sales cycle this is going to work, right? And also, what do you want your audience to do after they watch the video? Can you just take a minute to elaborate on that one?
Yeah. You find these all over the place. Your call to action. What's that call to action? In any movie, it's that call to adventure that, your hero would have. What's going to get them to do something? So hopefully this video gets them to do something. You have to sit down and be like, what is that something? What do we want them to do?
Sure.
Do we want them, it could be as simple as we just want them to sign up for a newsletter.
Yeah.
Okay, there's your call to action. For whatever your campaign is, you have to really decide. The Italian, I keep whacking this.
It's okay.
You have to decide.
We're going to get those boom arms that hang from way above everybody.
Yeah, we probably should
We should make it like an Italian free zone. That's really what you got.
Mike.
Yeah.
You're not the first to do it. So
a lot of Italians in the area.
Yeah.
So once you decide, like, this is what we want them to do, just put that as your call to action at the end of the video. And a lot of these programs like Vimeo or Vidyard can embed a call to action right in there. So you can have them go to your website right from at the end of the video. And then from there, you got to make sure, God darn it. Hey, if you could visually see this, it's like
we set this up perfully, so he hits it every time.
And I'm right-handed.
Who set up John's mic?
Yeah, I should have practiced beforehand with all the hand movements. I forgot what I was going to say.
Poor guy's gonna have a broken finger later.
Call to action.
Vimeo, so you can call to action. But that's what my next point was. But you have to make sure that next step is already set up.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to send them to a website that you're not a fan of at this point. That it's not set up the right way.
Sure.
And for that, I'm sure you guys could, Justin, and I'm sure you guys could help with the website to say this is how it really needs to be set up.
No, it's all part of that process, where you're driving them to next and what do you want them to do. And you're right. You have to be set up to receive that.
Yeah. Even if it's if it's set up like a separate landing page altogether.
Right.
Sure. I agree. Because that's one of the first questions I ask when I'm doing a video for somebody is, where are we bringing them to? And if that's not ready to go,
don't do it.
You got to step back,
right?
Because you could do this great job of making a spectacular video, bringing them right to where they want, and then they get there and don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So that's where somebody like Justin can get in and put together a website ahead of time,
right?
Or like you said, landing page, whatever it happens.
Whatever happens to you.
And I'm sure we could spend the next 60 minutes talking more about this.
Sure.
But we appreciate you coming on, John. And
thanks for having me.
You didn't hurt yourself on the.
I just hit my nose on it. It's just every body part is involved.
All right. We don't have any workers' comp.
I was going to say
on the podcast.
Do you have anything like Aflac or something?
I do. Thank God.
I was going to say we can get somebody from Aflac.
Right, really, I need it.
Mics are dangerous.
So if someone wanted to talk to you, John, further about this and get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They can. Probably the best thing to do is look me up on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's instantly message me on that. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and then we can get the dialogue going. And I know I'm not technically in marketing for other people any longer, but whatever I can do to help out, if I can point them in any direction or just sound advice. I was literally doing a video conference call the other night with some friends up in on the other side of the country about their marketing and
awesome.
how they plan on handling it. So Yeah, I'm here to help, Bill. That's what I do.
That's how you know you love marketing.
Yeah.
When you're hopping on calls.
It's a sickness, isn't it? Do you guys feel the same way?
Oh, yeah.
It's a sickness. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's so much fun. Like everybody works like, what are you still doing here? Get out of here. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding? I don't want to leave. Anyway.
But that is awesome. And your passion for marketing definitely shines through, just by talking to you about the video. And so we will share all the awesome links to things, the examples of the campaigns that you mentioned, because this is really great stuff.
And we'll also put some contact in your LinkedIn bio into the notes when we get ready to publish.
Here's an idea too, maybe for a lead generator for you guys. You can do something like 10 pitfalls when doing a podcast. Don't invite Italians with a lot of hand. That'd be number one.
April Fool's is coming up, so maybe we'll put that list together. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, before we go down that rabbit hole, I think it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
John.
Thank you, guys.
And until next time,
We'll see you later.
bye. Thank you for joining us today. And as always, you can find the back episodes of our podcast on Apple Podcasts. And you can also find us on our YouTube channel. Both of them are the Marketing Essentials team.
You can find us on the web at marketingessentialsteam.com. And if you subscribe through our website, you'll receive a weekly email and letting you know when each episode has been published. Also, you'll receive a link to subscriber-only content.
You can also find us on Facebook in our private Facebook group. Just search Little Roadie Marketing Support Group. It's a great place for other marketing professionals and business owners where we can share marketing advice, challenges, and general trends. Hope to see you there.